Welcome to Peace Stories, ladies and gentlemen. The narrator honored to share a recent and truly unsettling story that will take us back over 40 years, deep into the heart of a haunted forest. This is a tale the narrator heard from an elder who, after experiencing these terrifying events, finally understood the chilling truth behind them. As with all such narratives, I urge you to listen with an open mind for entertainment and reflection, remembering that names and details have been changed for privacy. Our story begins in late 1984 with a sailor named Rack, who had been at sea for months. Just a few nights before he was due to return home, he had a profoundly disturbing dream. He saw his parents, both long deceased, standing before him, weeping uncontrollably. Over and over, they repeated a chilling command: "Go pick up your sibling and bring them home. Go pick up your sibling and bring them home." This was highly unusual, as they had never appeared in his dreams before. Startled awake by the ship's horn, Rack felt a deep sense of dread. He immediately contacted his younger brother, Chow Long, and learned that Chow Long was in a remote tribal village in northern Thailand, participating in a volunteer camp. Relieved to know his brother was safe, Rack didn't mention the unsettling dream, but he urged Chow Long to be careful and return home as soon as possible. Upon his own arrival back home later that night, Rack found Chow Long already asleep. Around 10 or 11 p.m., as Rack was settling in, he heard a sound like someone climbing the mango tree outside his house. Fearing a thief, he peered out the window only to see his own brother Chow Long climbing the tree, swinging on the branches, and then falling, hitting his head hard on the ground right before his eyes. Rack rushed him to the hospital. Doctors confirmed no broken bones, but noted Chow Long was dazed from the head trauma, advising observation and caution against further injury. He was discharged the next day, appearing quiet and withdrawn, which the doctors attributed to the impact. However, the true horror was yet to unfold. Shortly after Chow Long returned home, their paternal aunt, a Buddhist nun whom they hadn't seen in years, unexpectedly arrived. As they were talking, Chow Long, who had been sitting silently and dazed, suddenly leapt up, roaring like a wild animal. He began climbing the house wall, swinging from the ceiling beams, trying desperately to escape. Rack struggled to hold him, and in that moment, his aunt, the Buddhist nun, poured holy water directly onto Chow Long's head. The effect was immediate and horrifying. Chow Long writhed violently, fell to the floor, and then, to Rack's shock, vomited out dozens of live, writhing leeches. This was undeniably unnatural. Doctors had found nothing during the hospital visit. Rack, desperate for answers, turned to his aunt. She gravely informed him that Chow Long was between the world of the living and the dead, and that Rack was the only one who could help him. She delivered a crucial, chilling piece of advice. The problem started where it must end there. Rack immediately realized this must refer to the tribal village where Chow Long had been volunteering. He confirmed with Chow Long's friends that his brother had indeed started acting strangely ever since leaving that village, becoming quiet and unresponsive. Determined, Rack contacted his close friend, Chart, an academic specializing in tribal cultures who was familiar with the region, and asked him for his help to return to the village. Before they left, Aunt Buddhist Nun gave Rack a bottle of holy water, instructing him to use it on Chow Long's head if he became agitated during the journey.
Their journey north was long and arduous. Rack drove tirelessly, A strange pattern emerged. Chow Lung would become frantic every time they drove past a cemetery, requiring Rak and Chat to douse him with holy water to calm him down. Upon reaching the province, Chat arranged for them to meet a local hunter named Ming, an older man who knew the specific tribal village they were headed to. Hunter Ming, recognizing the urgency, immediately carried the unconscious Chow Lung on his back and led them up a narrow, steep mountain path, a shortcut to the village. They arrived at the village entrance around 4 p.m. What greeted them was an ancient, weathered archway made of 2 large logs, connected by a net woven from hemp rope, adorned with ritualistic wooden figures. Hunter Ming explained its significance. This is the Ghost Gate. It marks the boundary and prevents evil spirits and malevolent entities from entering the village. He instructed them to walk under it as it cleansed away evil. As Hunter Ming, still carrying Chow Lung, passed under the Ghost Gate, a terrifying transformation occurred. Chow Lung, who had been unconscious throughout the ascent, suddenly regained his senses. He began to thrash violently, struggling to escape Hunter Ming's grasp, and in his frenzy, he swatted the bottle of holy water, sending it tumbling down the mountain. He then tried to bolt into the dense forest. Hunter Ming, holding on fiercely, yelled at Rak and Chat to ram Chow Lung from behind. All 3 of them collapsed through the gate. As they lay on the ground, Chow Lung's body stiffened, and once again he vomited out more live leeches before losing consciousness. A man, who turned out to be the village headman, along with other villagers, quickly carried the unconscious Chow Lung to a nearby house. Rak noticed that this house, while seemingly a normal tribal dwelling, was unique. Sacred white threads crisscrossed above their heads, adorned with white saw paper cutouts of various shapes. A spirit altar was prominently displayed on the wall. Hunter Ming confirmed this was the shaman's house. Chat explained that shamans typically did not help outsiders, but because Chow Lung's volunteer group had assisted the village, the headman felt obligated to intervene. The headman believed that the entity afflicting Chow Lung was a mountain spirit, raised by the villagers to ensure bountiful rice harvests. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows, a man entered, carrying a traditional tray. Rak immediately noticed that the tray was filled with white paper cutouts, identical to those hanging throughout the house. Hunter Ming introduced him as the village shaman. The headman moved everyone aside as Hunter Ming announced the ritual was about to begin. It was past 5 p.m. The shaman's head was shrouded in a black cloth. An assistant began to beat a large gong, its resonant sound filling the house. The shaman commenced chanting before the altar, then knelt beside Chow Lung, swaying to the rhythm of the intensifying gong beats. He then took a sacred thread from the traditional tray and tied one end to Chow Lung's big toe. Next, he produced 2 black, curved objects, which Hunter Ming identified as cut buffalo horns, sacred artifacts of the region. The shaman began to move these horns around Chow Lung in a synchronized dance with the gong. As the shaman lowered a horn to the crown of Chow Lung's head, Chow Lung suddenly convulsed, attempting to arise, but the shaman swiftly pressed the horn to his chest, seemingly pinning him down. Rak observed a terrifying phenomenon. Though no physical object was touching Chao Lung, his body appeared to be crushed by an invisible weight, struggling like an animal caught in a snare. The shaman then commanded everyone in the house to all help hold down Chao Lung. Even with their combined effort, Chao Lung thrashed wildly, nearly breaking free. The shaman bellowed a harsh command which Rak didn't understand but recognized as powerful, and everyone resumed holding Chao Lung firmly.
Around 7 p.m., after a final ritual at another ghost gate behind the village, Hunter Ming and Rak entered the dark, cold forest. The sounds of insects and strange animals, alien to Rak, filled the night. After an hour, Rak, exhausted, asked to rest, but Hunter Ming insisted they reach a safe, old hunting hut near a wild boar wallow. The wallow was a safe place where malevolent entities could not tread. The shaman then chanted again, lit a match, and set fire to the sacred thread connected to Chao Lung's foot. The flame rapidly consumed the thread, traveling to the kantok, and then, miraculously, ignited only one specific human-like saw paper cutout among the many, leaving the others untouched. At that exact moment, Chao Lung let out a long guttural scream before collapsing into unconsciousness as the gong abruptly ceased. The shaman then placed a triangular amulet around Chao Lung's neck. After consulting with Hunter Ming, the hunter explained the grim truth to Rak. The spirit that stole your brother's soul or life force was indeed a mountain spirit. The burnt paper cutout was its representation. Rak now understood the odd, long-limbed figures depicted on the paper he'd seen. Hunter Ming clarified that Chao Lung's body was now devoid of its soul. The leeches they had seen were not part of his original affliction, but roadside spirits, temporary entities that had clung to his body, unable to fully possess him due to the protection he had. These minor spirits had been expelled when they passed through the ghost gate. But the real crisis was the missing soul. The shaman's ritual had successfully separated Chao Lung's soul from the mountain spirit. But now the soul was lost and wandering in the treacherous, enchanted valley near the border. Simply calling for it wouldn't bring it back. Only his direct family, his parents or siblings, could retrieve it. This brought a chilling clarity to Rak's initial dream. Hunter Ming delivered the chilling ultimatum. If you cannot bring your brother's soul back before sunrise tomorrow, the mountain spirit will hide it forever, and your brother will never wake up. Rak realized with stark certainty he had to enter the forest and bring his brother's soul home. The Enchanted Valley was infamous for its dangers, ghosts, jungle fever, and even dangerous people. The shaman presented Rak with an amulet identical to Chao Lung's, but with 3 triangular pendants instead of 1. Hunter Ming translated the shaman's words. The amulet contained a powerful protective charm against spirits and demons. He was instructed to wear it at all times, as the Enchanted Valley held more than just the mountain spirit. When the village headman asked for volunteers, fear gripped the villagers. No one dared venture into the Enchanted Valley, except for Hunter Ming. He explained his resolve. He had lost his own brother to mountain spirits, whose soul had been taken and abandoned in the forest. He vowed to help Rak retrieve his brother's soul.
As they prepared, Hunter Ming provided critical instructions for finding the soul and navigating the dangerous forest. Chao Lung's soul would appear as a pale green, gently glowing light, floating above the treetops. To verify it was the soul, Rek must call his brother's name. If it remained a steady green, didn't flicker, and floated towards them slowly, it was correct. If it changed color, flickered, or moved differently, he must flee immediately. Crucial rule: in the forest, never call out names aimlessly, as other entities would hear. Rek would later remember this rule's importance. Once the soul was found, Rek was to use the soul-scooping net and then run back towards the North Star, guided by the sound of the gong from the village's soul-calling ceremony. After sunset, ignore all other sounds except the gong, as they might not be real. The flashlight rule. To use his flashlight safely, Rek must point it straight up at the sky, turn it on, and then slowly sweep the beam downwards to illuminate his desired spot. If the light never hit the ground, he was to slowly sweep it back up, turn it off, and run as fast as possible, as it indicated a forest illusion or phantom. They reached the wide clearing of the Boar Wallow, marked by ancient animal tracks. Hunter Ming collected mud from the wallow, a vital component for their protection. After a short rest, they continued for another half hour until they reached a giant tree where Hunter Ming had built his hut. Hunter Ming climbed first, chanting and sprinkling the precious wallow mud in a protective circle around the base of the tree. He ordered Rek to stand with his back to the tree, inside the circle, and not to make a sound while he climbed. Rek followed, climbing the rough, makeshift ladder carved into the tree. They reached the hut, old but sturdy, around 10:30 p.m. They were now deep within the enchanted valley. As Rek drifted into a doze, Hunter Ming suddenly pointed. There it was, a pale green light floating serenely above the treetops, exactly as the shaman had described. Overjoyed, Rek instinctively shouted his brother's name, but Hunter Ming immediately clapped a hand over his mouth, whispering, "Too far." It was too late. The moment Rek's voice echoed through the forest, a fierce gust of wind erupted out of nowhere, swaying the trees violently and making the hut creak ominously. Then, a cobra materialized, falling onto the hut directly in front of Rek, coiling and hissing furiously. In a panic, Rek blindly swung the machete Hunter Ming had given him. Hunter Ming yelled, "Why are you cutting the hut?" Rek opened his eyes. The snake was gone, but the ropes securing their hut were severed, and the supporting beams began to give way. Then, a chilling sound. Laughter, a low, guttural chuckle, seemed to emanate from the hillside. Rek looked and saw a dark shadow figure standing there. Before he could react, the figure leapt from the cliff to the treetops, causing branches and leaves to rain down on them. The shadow began to descend, slowly climbing down the branches towards them. Hunter Ming yelled, "Jump to the ground now!" They scrambled down, the sound of the entity pursuing them. Hunter Ming landed first, ordering Rek to jump the rest of the way. Just as they hit the ground, the hut collapsed behind them, and the shadow figure landed with it. Though it was dark, Rek could now discern that the entity was not human. It was a gigantic tiger. The beast charged. Rek ran for his life, the tiger closing in, just a few meters behind. Then Hunter Ming yelled, "Separate! Run towards the light!" and veered left. Rek instinctively turned right, but the monstrous tiger followed him. Running blindly, not even looking for the green light, he plunged into every opening he could find. He only stopped when he found himself back in the clearing of the Boar Wallow, utterly spent. The forest was now deadly silent, not even the sound of insects. The quiet was more terrifying than the chase. In the pitch darkness, Rek remembered his parents' desperate plea, "Bring your sibling home." He tried to calm himself. Then, he heard Hunter Ming's voice calling, "This way! Come quickly!" As he was about to step out of the wallow, a thought flashed through his mind. If it was truly Hunter Ming, why wasn't he coming closer? Overcome with fear, Rek hesitated to question him. Instead, he lifted his flashlight, pointing it towards the sky, as Hunter Ming had taught him. As he turned it on, he saw the pale green light of the soul, not far from the wallow, but in a different direction than the voice he was hearing.
Still hearing the voice, Rak slowly swept the flashlight beam down from the treetops, then towards the voice. As the light reached the sound, the voice abruptly stopped. What he saw next sent a shiver down his spine. The light from his flashlight simply vanished, absorbed by the darkness, never hitting a background. He knew immediately, recalling Hunter Ming's warning, that he was facing a forest illusion. His hand trembling, he quickly swept the light back up, counted to 1, then snapped it off and ran at full speed towards the green light. The moment the light died, a loud, deep roar of a massive animal echoed through the entire forest. Fortunately, the entity did not cross the protective boundary of the boar wallow, allowing Rak to escape. He ran until he reached the pale green light, now hovering directly above him. His watch was gone, so he had no idea of the time. Fear gripped him, but his parents' words echoed in his mind, "Bring your sibling home." He composed himself, fixed his gaze on the North Star, and called his brother's name one last time. The green light slowly descended, and then he heard it, the soft, unmistakable sound of his brother's sobbing. As the light came within reach, Rak swiftly pulled out the soul scooping net. The moment the net touched the orb, it vanished into thin air. Rak immediately switched on his flashlight, pointing it at himself, and ran with all his might towards the North Star. The forest became eerily silent once more. The only sound was his own frantic footsteps. He ran for an unknown duration, exhausted to his core. Suddenly, he heard 3 distinct gunshots. He ignored them, focusing only on running as fast as he could, desperate to reach the village before dawn. Moments later, he heard footsteps running alongside him. To his immense relief, it was Hunter Ming, covered in mud, just as weary as he was. Rak started to express his joy and relief, but Hunter Ming, still pushing him forward, yelled, "Keep running, don't stop, ignore everything else until you hear the gong." As Hunter Ming's words faded, the trees on either side of them began to shake violently, their branches thrashing as if someone were climbing and shaking them, despite the complete absence of wind. Rak's flashlight beam caught glimpses of the agitated branches, but saw no one. Hunter Ming, running behind him, kept pushing him, urging him not to stop. Rak's eyes then fixed on something descending from a massive tree directly in their path. A deep, guttural growl echoed from it. Remembering the tiger, Rak instinctively tried to veer off the path, but Hunter Ming pushed him forward, yelling, "Go straight or we won't make it." Rak forced himself to run straight towards the tree. As his flashlight beam hit the descending figure, it revealed a dark, distorted body with abnormally long, thin limbs crawling down the tree. Its glowing red, bulging eyes fixed menacingly on Rak. The creature was identical to the mountain spirit cutout he'd seen at the shaman's house. Now it was on all fours beneath the tree, then leaping and clawing its way through the branches, chasing them relentlessly, its roars echoing throughout the forest. Rak screamed in terror, but Hunter Ming bellowed, "An amulet! Throw it at him!" Rak fumbled for the amulet and threw the first one. As it flew, he noticed the path ahead suddenly seemed familiar. He looked back. The spirit was less than 3 meters behind Hunter Ming, its long tongue licking out, trying to touch him. Hunter Ming screamed again, "Throw the amulet at it, now!" Rak tore off the second charm and hurled it. This time, the amulet struck the spirit directly. It was as if invisible rocks or logs suddenly crushed the creature's body. The roaring stopped. The sounds of the forest, rustling leaves, chirping insects, immediately returned, along with the distant reassuring sound of the gong and the faint glow of the village lights. Rak slowed down.
then heard the distinct crow of a jungle fowl. Suddenly, Hunter Ming sprinted past him, grabbing Rak's shirt and dragging him forward, yelling, "The sun is about to rise. If we don't make it before sunrise, everything will be for nothing." Both men were utterly exhausted, but Hunter Ming pushed and pulled Rak up the mountain until they finally reached the clearing behind the village. They collapsed onto the ground, completely spent. But before Rak could even catch his breath, Hunter Ming shouted again, "Run to the shaman's house. If we don't make it before sunrise, it's useless." Rak forced himself to his feet and stumbled towards the shaman's house, where he begged the shaman to perform the ritual to return Zhao Long's soul to his body. After sunrise, Zhao Long woke up. He was disoriented, only remembering being lost in the forest, hearing Rak call his name, and then waking up at the shaman's house. He remained weak and pale. The shaman, translated by Chat, explained why. The mountain spirit had eaten a part of Zhao Long's soul. He would need to wear the amulet continuously until his soul was fully restored. As they were talking, a villager rushed in with devastating news from the headman. Local authorities had found a body in the border forest, killed by an improvised trap gun. The description matched Hunter Ming. Rak refused to believe it. How could Hunter Ming be dead? He had just helped Rak run all the way back to the village. He must be resting somewhere in the back of the village. Driven by disbelief, Rak and the others rushed to the ghost gate at the rear of the village, but Hunter Ming was nowhere to be found. It was then, as he stood there, that Rak's mind replayed the shaman's prophecy. 2 people will return. He had initially believed it meant himself and Hunter Ming. But now, with a profound, tearful realization, he understood it was he and his brother's soul that had returned. Rak knew then that Hunter Ming had already been gone, a spirit, when he guided him through the final, desperate leg of their journey. Hunter Ming, though deceased, had kept his promise to lead Rak back to the village. But Hunter Ming could not follow him past the ghost gate back into the village. This entire harrowing ordeal, as the host remarked, stems from a single broken rule, calling out a name in the forest. But it's easy for us to judge. When faced with such extreme fear and pressure in an unknown environment, how many of us could truly maintain our composure and remember every rule? The story also highlights the incredible character of Hunter Ming, who, even in death, kept his word and risked everything to guide Rak to safety. These forest stories are often filled with ancient curses or mysteries, forest spirits, tiger spirits, or shape-shifting jungle spirits, and other entities that can take on familiar forms to deceive and lure people away. While some might attribute such experiences to fever, exhaustion, or panic-induced hallucinations, especially for those unfamiliar with the wilderness, the consistent nature of these encounters and the strict adherence to forest rules among locals suggest a deeper, unexplainable reality. As the narrator shared, the baffling confirmation of Hunter Ming's death by officials, with trap gun wounds that defy typical animal targets, only deepens the mystery. Perhaps in the end, it is simply a profound respect for the wild, untamed nature of the forest, where rules are not just tradition, but a matter of life and death. If you enjoyed this tale and want to hear more of my stories and insights into the supernatural, please follow my YouTube, P Stories. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to sharing more chilling tales with you next time.